Welcome to Let Your Light Shine, the podcast where we illuminate the path to your best self. I'm your host, John Louis Hardrick, and I'm so excited to have you join us on this journey of empowerment and self-discovery. Today, and in each episode, we'll dive deep into the themes inspired by the book, Let Your Light Shine, Unleashing Your Inner Glow through Essential Self-Care Practices for Empowered Women. This podcast is for anyone seeking to cultivate their inner glow, embrace their power, and truly let their light shine. In our conversations, we'll explore different topics that resonate with women and girls from all walks of life. We'll discuss the SHINE method, practical and transformative self-care practices like sleep, proper hydration, tuning into our intuition, and nourishing our bodies while remaining fully engaged. But that's not all. We'll also delve into cultivating joy through hobbies, practicing grace, forgiveness, and engaging in activities that make our souls light up. Each episode features incredible women who share their stories, wisdoms, and insights. They're entrepreneurs, creatives, professionals, mothers, daughters, all shining examples of how embracing these practices can lead to a fulfilled and empowered life. So whether you're looking to ignite a new spark in your life or fan the flames of an existing one, Let Your Light Shine is here to guide and inspire you. Remember, for more resources and information, you can always visit lightshinebook.com. Let's get started and explore together how we can all let our light shine brighter. Join me, John Louis Hardrick, in this empowering journey. Here's to letting our lights shine together. And now, let's dive in to today's episode. So let's talk about how you let your light shine. S for shine is sleep. What's your sleep routine like?
Oh, geez. I could do better. I could do better. I'm trying to get at least 6 hours, but my thing is I need to sleep without the TV because I dream crazy. And I mean, yeah, like if I fall asleep on true crime, my dreams are gonna be. So I bought a noisemaker, and that's been like my resolution. Like Tamika, turn the television off, put the noisemaker on. And I do find when I like fall asleep to ocean sounds, I sleep more peacefully. But I've been shooting for like minimum 6. I would love 8, but if I get 7, I'm not gonna complain.
Okay. Yeah, because everyone, it's a little different. Some people can do the 4 hours and be okay. That's their minimum. Mine is, I need closer to 7 or 8, or else I'm cranky and everybody's having a bad day. Okay. I would recommend the YouTube. If you go to YouTube and listen to the sleep music with the sleep images,
Mm.
and then you can listen to alpha sounds, a beta sounds, a delta sounds. And it's the fact that you're remembering your dreams means you're entering deep sleep. So sometimes, like for me, my issue is I'm in bed for 8 hours, but I'm not asleep for 8 hours, right? And I'm not in deep sleep. So that's why I'm still tired. But someone like you remembering these vivid dreams, that means you're going really deep into sleep. And so your body has that restorative time, which is what's more important, than how long you're in bed. So that's
Oh,
good. But let's get better dreams.
I mean, that's good to know. Well, okay, so fun fact. Have you ever heard of a cow bearer or like en cow being born in cow? Okay, so basically like 1 in every 90,000 births, the mother's water does not break and the baby comes out like an egg. It comes out in the casing. I'm one of those babies. So
Wow.
apparently, like it has all these implications. Like I did not. So one of the things is like we're empaths and we also have like very vivid dreams. like a clairvoyancy. And I've dreamt crazy like my whole entire life. Like I've dreamt about things before they've happened. I had no idea. I always know I was born this way, but I didn't know it had any implications until I was in my 30s. And a neighbor, like we just talking like randomly, and I mentioned it, and she was like, "Oh, that means you're special. Like you're a callbearer. Like go home and Google it." And I went home and Googled it. Jocelyn, I tell you, my whole life came together like the Matrix. Like it was like, oh, 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 oh. So yes, I've always dreamt crazy, and I'm gonna look into the YouTube situation. But yeah, like it's like one in every 90,000 birds, and I'm also left-handed, so I am like literally just like one in a million. Just like
Wow.
statistically, like just like as a left-handed cowbearer, like statistically, I'm like one in a million. I don't know, girl.
Well, yeah, I've always had weird dreams too. Like I had deja vu and I realized, no, I dreamed of this happening. That's why I felt like it was deja vu. Yeah, and it's weird. And then whenever I talk to other people and they tell me stuff like that, I'm like, oh yeah. They're like, wait, everyone thinks I'm crazy, but you're like cool with it. I'm like, yeah, because I experienced that too. But yeah,
Yeah.
but if you, it's a power, it's a gift. If you wield it, it can get really interesting. So if you listen to the right things as you go to sleep, because when you're going to sleep, when you're sleepy, you're in alpha state, which is a very
Yes.
suggestive state. It's
Okay.
like hypnotic state, which is why they put all the commercials and stuff on watching TV because you're much more suggestible. So if you choose what you want your mind to suggest, like choose, okay, what is my biggest dream? What I would love to do? Let me dream of actual peace. Let me dream of like and then you plant those seeds right before you go to sleep. Your dreams are gonna just blow you away. Yeah.
There's something to that. I'm
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about how you hydrate, girl. Because
Oh,
you're they can't tell from the video, you're very petite, and I'm really tall. I'm like 6 feet tall. You're closer to I don't know how tall you
I
are. I wanna
too.
say around 5'2". Yeah, that's what I figured, around 5'2". So our hydration needs are gonna be different, right? So what do you do for hydration? What's your favorite hydration hack?
Mm. Well, I only drink water.
Good.
Much. I only drink water. I mean, unless it's tea. I drink a lot of different teas. I'm doing like the whole holistic thing. I do green tea in the morning. I do like a nettles oat straw combo throughout the day. I drink a cup of dandelion tea a day. And I usually go to sleep with like a lavender chamomile. And in between, I just do water.
I don't know if that's a Caribbean thing because I only drink water. I'm not a juice drinker. It's like unless it's fresh juice, I don't like you literally squeeze the thing right in front of me. I'm like, I'm not interested. But yeah, but you're the first one to talk about herbal tea. Herbal tea is a nice way to flavor your water and
Mm.
get restorative properties, right? Like lavender and chamomile help you relax. The scent, the herb, right? So it's great to drink at night. Dandelion tea helps detox the liver, right? And as long as you don't sweeten it, it's like drinking, infused water, basically.
Yes. It's a hack from no, don't get me wrong, like, yes, I am West Indian, so, like, if I go to St. Kitts and somebody's squeezing some fresh passion fruit juice, I will drink that. If someone is making a batch of sorrel, I will drink some. I'm not okay? But, for the
No, we
most
drinking
part
that sorrel now.
okay? For the most part, it's water, but that's a hack from, like, my entire life, for the most part, I've struggled with eczema. So, like, and some again, like stress, it's a lot of it is related to stress. And when I had a really bad flare up, like when I first started film school, and I went to like a holistic practitioner, like way back then. And like, don't get me wrong, like, I mean, that's like '06, and like damn near 20 years later, it just started taking. Like, it took a few more life incidents for me to be like, okay, girl, like, stick with it. But when I first went in '06, she was the one that got me on just only drinking water and drinking tea with no sugar. And that's like so since '06, like that I haven't because I mean you taste the tea better with no sugar. And yeah, like water is really all you need to like hydrate.
Yeah, and I talk about that in the book because I have irritable bowel syndrome. I have super sensitive skin, super
Okay.
sensitive, and other conditions like migraines, right? So I talk about, okay, how do we take care of ourselves and use our medical doctors as, a source, but not the source. Like we have to listen to our own bodies, holistic practitioners, herbal remedies. Like, for example, I like moringa tea and holy basil tea. Holy
Moringa.
basil, also known as Tulsi, it helps me relax like better than a glass of wine.
All that.
So when I'm
Basil?
holy basil,
Holy basil, HOLI? Let me see.
HOLY, just like how it
Holy
sounds,
basil.
holy basil.
Holy basil. So it's basil tea, but it's holy?
No, it's just the name of the place. It's not basil tea, pray what?
What?
But it either goes by the name of holy basil or Tulsi,
Oh,
Tulsi.
okay.
Yeah, and you can find it online. It comes from Ayurveda, the ancient Indian medicine. So I got into that and found out my dosha and, and
And you
so
kept
started
trying to holy
drinking
basil's super helpful for what now?
relaxation, stress relief. It's an adaptogen, right? It helps your body deal with stress and it's very relaxing. So it's great to drink before you go to sleep, like an hour before you go to sleep. And I'll drink that and I'll be so relaxed. It's
Hey.
like, it's nice. Yeah. And it doesn't, and I don't sweeten it. It tastes really light and almost a little fruity, but you don't have to sweeten it at all. So that's another like herbal infusion you can try to incorporate, especially when you're trying to get away from other kinds of things that might taste good, but, might be messing up your hydration balance because we want to make sure we stay hydrated.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about intuition because you said, you have these dreams. What have you done since you did that Google search to kind of get you more in touch with your intuition and how has it like impacted your life and your creative decisions?
That's a good question. Um, I'm really trying to learn to trust myself more. I think that's a part of my life that I'm really trying to shift because I think I do have good intuition, but I don't really trust it. So
Mm,
that's
yeah.
something that like I kind of deal with and I'm trying to be better about. I try to be better about writing things down and going back to it, keeping just like a running list of my thoughts. Cause like my brain will just go, but it's like really trying to the heart mind is what I'm trying to work on strengthening. I feel like they can be a bit siloed. And yeah, I'm trying to work on just kind of fortifying that connection a bit more.
Yeah, there's some great resources on YouTube talking about the heart brain cohesion, which you were just saying. And meditation helps with that. Meditation. And we have a shine meditation. You can try it hours out. We have a 10-minute one for gratitude, a 10-minute one for energy. But just the practice of meditation, which doesn't always mean quieting your mind, right? Because some people like us I describe it as I'm trying to take a sip from a garden hose, or a fire hydrant. That's how much my brain is just throwing ideas at me. And because people are like, we get all these ideas. I'm like, they're just coming at me. I'm just trying to grab a little bit. And meditation is what helps me to trust myself because I tell my brain, okay, let the good ideas rise to the top, like the cream coming on the top of the milk after everything settles.
Is
And it
meditation
does. It comes
easy
back
for
to me.
you? It hasn't been easy for me. Is it easy for you? Like, has it?
No,
You have to work at it.
you don't, someone, I forget her name, but she says, don't look at meditation like it's work that you're trying to get better at. You meditate to get better at life, not to get better at meditation.
Mm.
So as long as you regularly practice it, even if it's 10 minutes a day, you'll start to see it. Because a lot of people ask me, how do you do all of that? And I'm always like, oh, well, if you meditate, it'll help you stay focused. They look at me like, that's not it. That's the thing that I'm doing. So great ideas come to me during meditation. Problems that I feel like I can't solve come to me. And again, if you do it before you sleep, you're suggesting to your mind what you want it to do. And then they'll more likely do it, right? Because our subconscious mind is a servant. If you tell it what to do, it'll do it. But if you try to let it run things, you end up having your crazy dreams, that you have or disrupted sleep and all that good stuff. But yeah, but a lot of women, we don't trust our intuition. That's why I added that chapter in the book. I'm like, why don't we? Because it's like, women are really good at that. Our whole bodies are designed to pick up on cues that we can't without five senses. But I think it's because, we live in a society that tells us we don't know what we're talking about.
Mhm, mhm.
We don't get a say. We shouldn't be leading. And we hear that message over, and our voice doesn't matter. And we hear that message over and over again. So we actually start to believe it. I think that's what happens. And it's so subtle, we don't even realize it.
Yeah, yeah. Like
That's
that
resonating with you?
yeah, for sure. Like, you meditate to get better at life, not to get better at meditation. I'm gonna lock that in because I feel like I suck at meditation. But also, yeah, I think some of the things that we have the luxury or the foresight to unpack now, like intuition and mind body connection. And I think a lot of these things are things that we we didn't get to talk about when in our formative years, like, especially as like first gen, right? Like a lot, like, like where our people are from, like these are kind of like givens, it's like part of the culture. Like there are all these, like my mom has all these like little sayings, and it'll all go back to like, how you trust your intuition, or but like these things weren't necessarily prioritized and instilled in us. For I know me personally, coming up, it was more so about like achieving and all outward. So I feel like the inner work now is just something that, don't get me wrong, like, it's not like one day I woke up and was like, "Yeah, now I'm working on my inner self." It's like I had to. Like, I had to, because it was like, it was all or nothing Like I said, the pandemic was very difficult. Today is the what? The 8th? And on the 5th, we lost Ayana Adams from Skylar.
Oh,
Uh
really?
Yeah, she's Ayana Bullock now. Do you remember her?
I
Ayana
feel like
Adams.
that, yeah.
She was
Mhm,
she was in ballet. She was, like, super dancer, like,
mhm.
but we became very close, and she actually helped to kickstart a lot of my inner work. Like, she had a nonprofit called The Full Promise, and it was all about helping women of color facilitate God's full promise on our lives here on earth. So we would have different modules and workshops about self-esteem, about intuition, about finances, about just like, and again, it was all the foundation was faith. And it kind of, that was she started we started meeting March of 2020. So like that first year of the pandemic, it was like the only steady thing. Like we would meet twice a month on Zoom. And she passed on her 41st birthday on February 5th. So that was 2021. And that year was just so catastrophic. Like, I lost a favorite cousin a couple months later. I lost my producer, who was a Black woman in the industry. Her name was Marquette Jones, and was one of she was just a light. She was like she was one of those Black women in the film industry that was like really ushering other Black women in. And it's like so many times when you're a Black woman in a space, you're so busy doing all of the things, it's hard for you to like like it's not like I'm not trying to shut you out. It's just that I have to do everything. But Marquette was just so thoughtful about how she brought people in. She always treated everyone with respect. She passed that same year. So all that to say, like, it got to a point where I was like, "Oh, okay, like I gotta do something different." But I say all that to say I wish I just woke up one day and was just like, "No, it's time." But it was like, "No, I, I would like to live."
Yes,
So
life was lifing, and
I would, yes,
death was that thing all around you. Yes,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
And that's why I wrote the book, because for some
Okay.
people, they've reached a point where you are, but they don't know where to start,
Mm.
right? And I'm like, listen, this is my story. Start there.
And when
There's
did
some
you write
things
the
I've
book?
learned along the way. I finished it last year.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I got pregnant with my daughter, and she was a complete surprise. I actually thought I couldn't even get pregnant. And so it was a positive thing that happened, but when you get pregnant, everything has to stop. Like I physically couldn't do all the things I was doing. I was exhausted. My iron was low and I had all these big plans, like the pandemic's over. I can do all the things I wanted to do. And then it was like, oh no, I can't. So for me, it's like I had to learn how to pivot, how to make sure I take care of myself because now I don't have the free time that I used to have before I had a little baby. And you can see her, in this little picture over here, beautiful baby girl. But yeah, it's like again, so it was a love letter to myself to take care of myself, but still live out my dreams. And I decided to share it with the world because I'm like, I'm not the only one going through this.
Yeah.
So whether it's death happening around you, births happening, job loss, I mean, anything that needs you to shift,
Yes. Yes.
you got to remember to take care of yourself because that's the first thing we stop doing.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to get you. You're going to
That's so
start trusting your
beautiful.
intuition.
That's
Oh,
so
thank
beautiful.
you.
What's your daughter's name? When's her birthday?
She's JoJo. We call her name's Josephine Michelle Hardrick. And April 22nd. No, April 23rd. Look, I forgot my daughter's birthday child. She was born the 23rd and
Okay.
it's a beautiful baby girl. So yeah, I like honestly until I held her in my arms, I couldn't believe I was pregnant. That's how shocked I was about the whole thing.
Right.
Um, but I was convinced I couldn't get pregnant. So I was like, you know. But, I shared that too because I wanna give people hope. Because a lot of older professional women of color, if they don't have kids, they're either struggling to have kids or they're dealing with infertility like I was, or they're wondering if there's a lot of question marks. A lot of people I know who are my age are dealing with that. And so I wanna be very vocal and honest and let you know there's all these stories, you're not alone, and, there's hope if that's something you want. If it's alternatives, I wrote a book children's book about third party reproduction because someone I love used that to have another person that I love. And there's no shame in it, right? But like you said, our community sometimes we're coming into a different space and we don't always know how to connect that. Like our Caribbean community might be like, what is that? What do you mean? What are you doing?
Yes.
Right. And then some of what you were talking about, like how we're not taught about our intuition is, I think it's a lot of Western education doesn't believe in the internal world as being useful for academics, but it's
Right.
useful for life.
Right. Right. And I think that's the nail on the head, right? It's like a lot of this stuff was instilled in our people, but then it's like when we got here, it's like take the baton and run. And the baton was Western education. Right?
Right.
So it's like, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I got all these degrees and da, 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 but like, I need, what's this? What's this? What's
Yeah.
this in here? But I appreciate you sharing that counterpoint about how the birth of your daughter prompted you to like shift because it just kind of opened my eyes because like yeah, like the shift can happen from all these different angles. And that's just one thing that, again, especially coming out of the pandemic, like I never even like thought about, you know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, yeah, I appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the goal, right? Want to lift each other up and have honest conversations about it, and make sure there's space for everybody's story. You
Hmm.
know. So now let's talk about nourishment. So we know you hydrate. How do you nourish yourself? Because we nourish ourselves through our food, of course. So we're always going to start there. But like you're doing all this great work, but what do you do just for fun? What nourishes you? What keeps you going?
Well, I love food. I love I got with a nutritionist and he changed my life. Yeah, like I just mainly look at food as medicine now. Like medicine and nourishment. And if it tastes good, it's a plus. But the way he works is he curates meals by blood type. And he goes through this whole like after he learns your blood type, he goes through this whole like inventory of food. And he's like, do you like it? Do you cook with it? Da, da, da. And he starts curating these meals. And it's like, because he's like, well, if they don't taste good to you, you're not going to keep it up. Right. And
Yep.
like I'm such a foodie, Jocelyn. Like when I first started working with him, I was just like, all right, like my biggest concern with keeping it up was like I don't know about the monotony. Like I can't see myself eating the same thing all the time. When I tell you, like I feel so good afterward. Like I eat the same thing like every 3 days, and I'll be so hyped. I still take pictures of my food. Like, I did not have the same thing 3 days ago, cause it's like the meal like, I feel so good in my body, like, I get the most variation for lunch. For lunch, I get the most variation, but I eat the same breakfast every 3 days. I eat the same like, for dinner, it's, salmon and some type of greens. So, whether it's, kale salad or collard greens or whatever, like it's salmon and greens, either curry salmon or like a pan-seared salmon. For breakfast, it's either oatmeal with blueberries, steel cut oatmeal with blueberries, eggs, and I make like my own little breakfast meat and or a green smoothie. And then again, lunch, is the most variation. But yeah, he changed my life. Like my body is functioning at its best at 43 as it ever has. So, but I mean, in terms of like other nourishment, like I don't do much else. Like I mean,
Okay.
when you need it, like honestly, Jocelyn, I spend like so much of my life at the supermarket and prepping vegetables. Like, cause it's like the food that I'm buying doesn't have preservatives. You know what I mean? So like I'm always at the market, I'm always chopping some vegetables or juicing. I drink, celery juice or whatever. I just work a lot, honestly. Like I work a lot.
Yeah. And sometimes our work is feeding us because it's bringing us joy, but we got to remember every now and then, right? What's
Yeah.
nourishing me specifically, you know?
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, I like every now and then I get to see my friends. So that's
Yeah.
always nice.
Yeah. You said you pick the topic you're going to teach in the class based on your reunion. So, that's a
Yeah.
big thing for you.
I need
Connecting
to
with old
dance though.
friends.
I haven't danced in
Yeah.
like that's really what
Oh,
feeds my spirit. And I haven't
yeah.
danced
You got to go do
in a
that.
long time. So
Yeah.
that's
Just got
one
to have a dance party in your room. That's it.
like every now and then, like I get
Yeah, I gotta have a dance party. Hey.
but I used to dance professionally. So like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
love dancing. I don't know if you remember I used to be, all up in Miss Lonnie's class and
Yes, I remember Miss Lonnie and everyone because I wasn't in Miss Lonnie's class, but I knew everybody in.
were you in the orchestra or
No, no, I had no talent, girl. It was all brains.
artist when you were in band or
No,
so what were you
I knew
in?
people in all that stuff. I just didn't do it.
Okay. So what were your
I
electives?
got in. I don't remember, girl. I got in on them grades. Like now I paint. Now I, do different things, but I didn't do that in Southwood at all.
I didn't know you
I don't remember
danced.
my elective. Yeah, I paint. Yeah, I'll show you some of the paintings. This is not one of mine. This was a contest, but I have one down here. I have a bunch of paintings that I've done. Yeah, I've always been into painting, but I didn't. Again, I was afraid to like really dive into those things because I was like, oh, I'm a brain. I'm smart. That's what everyone told me. So I went that. But now that once you let the creativity out, it comes out in all forms. So yeah, I encourage you to today go dance, even if it's a dance party in your room. Just have a little dance party. We did that during the pandemic. Me and my son and my niece would just have dance parties
Hi.
at the end of the day because we couldn't go anywhere. So we're like, we just, Alexa, play whatever. And just,
You're right.
and it feels
Right.
good. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. So
And I will
let's talk.
say that I will say that I've been strengthening my faith. That's been nourishing. So
Oh, yes, absolutely. Especially when you were talking about Ayana and uh, fulfilling the promise, that definitely helps to feed you. And then as an adult, you get to choose how you want to do it. Because when you're a kid, it's like whatever is imposed on you, right? But then when you become an adult, it's like now I get to choose how and faith is definitely one of the things I talk about. If you have a faith, lean into your faith practice. There's a reason why women, as they get older, get more and more religious, right? Because they're doing that internal work. they usually just turn to whatever they grew up with. But we have access to so many things now that you can just put together your own faith practices. And engagement is, again, moving your body, but also engaging with the world, whether it's the natural, spaces. You used to be a park ranger, so you're big on natural spaces. So what do you do? Do you walk? How do you get out of your room? Because you're doing film stuff, which usually ties you down to a space for a long period of time.
I do love a power walk. I do that about 3 to 4 times a week. I try to get out, and I usually like 10,000 steps. I don't know how much
Oh,
time,
that's good. Yeah.
but
That's
yeah.
one of the things I miss about living in New York. You could just it's so easy to walk everywhere. Here, it's like you walk down the street, people are like, "What's wrong? Are you okay? Is there an emergency?" I'm like, "I'm just walking."
Really?
I kid you not. My old neighborhood, I used to just be walking. The park is across the street. I would be walking to it. Like, "You need a ride?" I'm like, "I'm going right there." Like, you can see it. They're like, "Yeah, do you need a ride?" I'm like, "No."
It's so funny because it's so beautiful down there. You would think people like it's like so scenic.
The South is all about their cars. People love
Yeah.
their cars and they wanna drive everywhere. It does get hot, but I'm like, that's why I'm walking in the morning, you know? There's not a lot of sidewalks. Yeah, it's very driver friendly. So I have to really consciously get my steps in because it's just harder to, walk places, but I do miss that about New York. And what's funny, I have to, like, let people know down here who love the shows in New York. And it was like, "Oh, New York seems so this and that." I'm like, "Girl, that's fantasy. That ain't like you said, you're power walking, but you got to pass the dumpster and the this and the people arguing in the street and the car honking. Am I making that up, or is it still like that in the?
I kind of live in the suburbs now, so
Okay,
I go to my project, and I just like in the pandemic, I was just around the ducks. Like I've observed so much animal behavior. I got so many theories because I was only safe. I felt only safe around animals. So like I would just like because they're not gonna give me COVID. You know what I'm saying? So I would go feed the ducks, kick it with the ducks. Like in the beginning, they'd be like, "You're not one of us." But then after a while, they'd be like, "That's the girl that just be kicking it, whatever." And I would just go and chill with them for the longest.
that sounds like a multi. I will.
I mean, I got into, I'm kind of into birds now, like honestly. But like
Oh,
one of my friends, Tanaja, she actually started like a blackbird watching podcast because she got into it in the pandemic. So like when I see a bird that like I don't know what it is, like I like take a picture and send it to her. She's like, "That's a red tail, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." So, but I in general though, like most people, my friends know me, like I know like mad random animal facts. Because at one point I was just really disenchanted with the human race. Like
man.
especially around like Trayvon Martin and stuff. I was just like,
Yeah. Mhm.
we got to get it together. And I bought this calendar called. Initially I bought it for my family members, like the little kids, but then I just kept it. It was called Unlikely Friendships, and it was about friendships across species. So like this animal photographer would take pictures, and it would be like a picture of like a dog and a fish, and, like and you would think that she staged it, but then she would tell, like, a little narrative about how, like, the dog goes to the pond every day and the same koi comes up and meets him. It'd be, like, a snake and, like, a duck and, like, whatever, and, like, it would have the little narrative for each month, so I'm very much into animals. I'm allergic to most of them, but I love them.
I'm telling you, this is a movie. Oh, the little black girl disenchanted with humanity, loves animals, but she's allergic to them. But somehow she creates this friendship, and that's the movie. Okay, girl. When you get your Oscar for best short film, I'll be like, I did for that idea. I got proof. It's on video.
That was me. Well, if you could be any animal, what animal would you be?
Oh, I always wanted to be a bear because I want to hibernate all the time.
I'm not mad at
But I
you.
always felt like I looked like a giraffe because I was tall with a long neck and I had spots everywhere.
Russian.
But I
Yeah.
always wanted to be a bear. They are. My husband loves giraffes. I think that's why he married me.
Have a way.
We have them close by. Yeah, we
Oh,
have
for
them close
real?
by. We're able to go feed them. Yeah, you can pay, you can feed them. They come right up to your face. So we have a picture of the giraffe right here. They are beautiful, but I'm like, I do look like a giraffe. But I've always wanted to be a bear. I hate cold weather. That's why I moved to Florida. And it's chilly. When it gets chilly here, I'm like,
The chilly down there is like what, like 60 degrees?
60. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 40, but I swear I want to go in my bed and not come out till it's 80 degrees.
Well,
So,
that's
what about
beautiful.
you?
I could see that. I would be either a penguin or a capybara. A penguin because they're always dressed up. They always like are kicking it. Like you never really see a penguin angry. You know what I mean? The males take care of the children. Yeah, I just love penguins. Like they just look like they're having a good time. Capybara because then if you Google why capybaras like get along with other animals, like they're the one of the only animals that have like no enemies in the wild, and they're semi-aquatic. So like you see pictures of capybaras kicking it with like turtles, birds, crocodile look like they about to play spades. Like they literally have no enemies in the wild. I'm like, that's that capybara about to play spades. You don't have no enemies in the wild. I'm like,
I'm trying to hold it together. I'm like, because now I see them playing spades and like stacking it down. Like, you got 3 books. You sit in line. You got.
capybaras about that life. They don't mess with nobody. Don't nobody mess with them.
So we want to thank Tamika Guishard for sharing with us how she lets her light shine. Any last words, Tamika?
Thank you for having me. I learned so much from this conversation. I'm super proud of you. And just again, like it's hard to like do the thing and then also usher in others and facilitate it amongst others. And that's something that is rare. And the fact that you're able to do it with such poise, I'm really proud of you. So, thank you so much. And it was just nice getting the chat about not only work, but just like the humanity of it all and how it all ties in. And I really appreciated the conversation.
I did too. Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time on the Let Your Light Shine podcast. As we come to the close of another enlightening episode of Let Your Light Shine, I want to thank you sincerely for joining us today. It's been a true joy and privilege to share this space with you and our inspiring guest. Before we part ways, I'd like to leave you with a small nugget of wisdom to carry with you. Remember, the light you hold within is a beacon of hope, strength, and beauty. It's uniquely yours, and when you let it shine, you not only illuminate your own path, but also light the path of others. If you've been inspired by our conversation today, I encourage you to explore more at lightshinebook.com, where you can find additional resources and support on your journey to unleashing your inner glow. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with someone who might also benefit from its message. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode of Let Your Light Shine. As we say goodbye for now, remember that every day is an opportunity to embrace your power, cultivate joy, and most importantly, let your light shine. Until next time, I'm Jocelyn Jean-Louis Hardrick, wishing you peace, love, and light. Thank you for listening, and keep shining bright.